Hey, I'm Blake from Worn and Wound and the Windup Watch Shop. And today we're going to be talking about the new, as of late 2024, Hamilton Khaki Field Quartz. And with me today to talk about this amazing watch is Devin Pennypacker from the Windup Watch Shop.
Hello. Sorry, I thought you were going to keep on talking with the cadence that you had there. Yeah, we're going to talk about two Hamilton Khaki Field Quartz models today, the larger size and the smaller size that we have both in front of us right now. Do you have a list of questions that you kind of want to run through and work our way through these models and figure out who they're for and exactly what Hamilton brought to the table with this new offering?
Yeah, and also, is quartz cool?
Yeah.
In 2025.
Quartz is cool. We're not going to wait on that one. Quartz is cool, quartz is fine. Please buy quartz watches. There are luxury quartz watches that are fantastic. There are entry-level quartz watches that are fantastic. Just get a good one. That'll last you a while.
All right, so we know the size is 38 and 33.
Yeah.
What other specs should people know about these watches?
So weirdly, they're using two very slightly different movements, which means that you do get a bit of a difference in thickness. So you have just over 8 millimeters on the 38 and just over 7 millimeters on the 33, which shouldn't be that important. They're both really thin. They both slide under a cuff. They're field watches. You get a little bit more thickness from the strap, but swap it out for a single pass or a leather strap to thin it out if you want to. But then you have the lug to lug. You have just over 40 millimeters on the 33 and just over 45 on that 38. So a bit of a longer lug to lug than you might see on other field watch models, so it fills the wrist nicely. But it's not so long that you're staring at lugs that are kind of hanging off of your wrist. Very, very compact proportions for sure.
What about the crystal?
Yeah, so both are sapphire, both flat with a decent anti-reflective coating. But honestly, in really direct sunlight, you're still getting a lot of glare on top of there, so it can be a little bit more difficult as far as legibility goes. But Hamilton does a good job of contrasting the dial, so that glare on the crystal really doesn't matter, but it can still stand up to the nicks and bumps that you get out there in the field, which is pretty cool.
These feel fairly similar to the Khaki Field mechanicals that came out in 2018.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what makes them different, what makes them similar?
Well, so they're quartz instead of mechanical, which is a big thing there. They also put khaki back on the dial, which is kind of like a vintage callback to a lot of their older models, which is neat. We saw the new old stock from Worn and Wound not too long ago, which a lot of people, including myself, thought that that's what these were when they came out. But yeah, just kind of a refinement and kind of a simpler, older styling with that updated ETA quartz caliber on the inside, which will just give you more reliable day-to-day accuracy, more of a grab and go option, so you're not sitting there winding it or having to worry about the automatic H10 movement that you might find in other Khaki Field models.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Khaki Field mechanicals were so popular when they came out and seem to have remained incredibly popular over the last several years. What about this design do you feel like makes it still relevant today?
So just having something that is classic, timeless, goes with anything that you want to wear is really important, but making sure that you have the movement that fits your lifestyle is also very important. So the fact that they were able to kind of dial it back, scale the price down as well, because those mechanical models have kind of crept up in price as manufacturing has gone up in price. The quartz caliber allows them to keep the price down, make it more of an entry-level watch, and really a no-frills, grab-and-go option for anyone out there who's looking for a solid field watch.
So let's talk about wearability. So 38 millimeters, and for some people feels a little small. 33 millimeters for a lot of people, it's going to be really small. How do these wear? Does the quartz movement sort of lower the weight so much that it feels too light? What's the wearability like?
No, I mean, honestly, the quartz caliber, it doesn't drop the weight dramatically from a standard H10 movement. I mean, I have one of the aluminum models on here with the H10 automatic, and this is immensely lighter than anything, and it's because of that the case material. Steel, it's just going to wear like steel no matter what. You're going to feel the weight of it on your wrist. As far as on the wrist though, like I mentioned, the lug width is a little bit longer, and those lugs do extend a little bit longer than some other field watches out there, so they tend to fill the wrist nicely. I have a very large wrist. It's over 7.5 inches, and the 38 looks fantastic on me. Kyle, who's standing right off camera over here, just put on the 33 to demonstrate that it's the right size for his wrist. Kyle, what's your wrist size? 6-inch wrist, and the 33 looks perfect on his wrist because the lugs, again, fill the wrist nicely. So overall, it has a really kind of large profile. It displays a little bit larger because it does have that matte blasted bezel, so it doesn't disappear off of the dial there. And it wears kind of flat too, so it doesn't curve around the wrist as much as other models do, and it, because of that, wears a little bit larger than you might expect.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think definitely I'm in the same boat. I think 33 is a little small for my taste, but 38 is like the perfect,
the sweet spot,
everyday wearability. I know that these have a 50-meter water resistance, which I know a lot of folks in our community and the sort of the watch community at large sometimes take issue with watches that are in that sort of 50-meter water resistance. Like, how do you think that affects the watch from like a general purpose perspective? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, some people will argue that a field watch can't be a field watch unless it's 100 meters of water resistance, because they claim 50 meters is really 50 meters of pressure, not water. So you're not going to be 50 meters under the water wearing these watches and worried about water seeping through. They're talking about, you're swimming and the pressure of your hand going into the water creates 50 meters of water pressure that can flood the watch. Hamilton, they have a proven track record. We know that when they say 50 meters, they mean 50 meters. When they say 30, they mean 30. These are field watches. These have been around since World War II. They know what they're doing. They've tested them. They have proper gaskets. When they tell you 50 meters, they're 50 meters. I wouldn't be at all hesitant to go swimming with them, to go hiking with them in the rain, washing my hands with them. I don't care. I might not take them diving, properly diving, but for everyday use, I think they're perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I would also like to bet that I could not create 50 meters of resistance with myself in a body of water. I don't want to try. I'm getting old, but yeah. How about the strap? That's a similar strap to stuff they've put on their other watches that are sort of like vintage military inspired. How do you feel about that strap?
It's pretty terrible. So it's definitely the low point of the watch for me personally. I know some people don't mind it, and out of the box, it's very wearable, it's very pliable and comfortable, and traditional to the style. So when you look at it, it looks like a traditional Hamilton Khaki Field watch, which is really important. But what I think a lot of enthusiasts have quickly found out is that the leather accenting on there doesn't quite hold up to everyday wear, especially with sweat and moisture and whatnot. Overall, I'm not a huge fan of the strap. It's something that I personally would swap out almost immediately. I do that with almost all my watches anyway. We all tend to. The strap seems to be, it's an expensive point for a lot of watches, and if they were to put a really nice strap with it, you would see an additional $100 on top of the watch, which none of us want. We would rather customize the watch for ourselves. It might not be the highlight of the watch, but at the end of the day, I don't think that's why we buy watches anyway. So it doesn't matter if it's a great strap or a bad strap. It really is just flexibility at the end.
All right, let's move on to what some might consider the elephant in the room, the quartz movement.
Yes.
Some people, again, sort of watch enthusiasts, can have a little bit of a perspective on quartz movement. I don't think that we necessarily share that perspective, but like, what are your feelings about this having a quartz movement? How do you feel like quartz movements fit into your collection and your daily wear?
I'm very glad that these have a quartz movement. Like I mentioned in the beginning, it keeps the cost down. It makes it a bit of a thinner profile, so it's more grab and go every day. You don't have to worry about setting it all the time. It's a simple watch, simplified even further by a reliable ETA quartz caliber. You can whine and complain about it being quartz because it's not the pure enthusiast choice, but at the end of the day, the enthusiast choice is the watch that you wear. So whether it's quartz, whether it's mechanical, whether it's automatic, who cares? Find the watch that works for your lifestyle and go for it. ETA has proven at this point that they can make a reliable quartz caliber that is still very accurate too. They do a really good job of regulation in the factory. So overall, I'm glad they went that route. With prices creeping up on automatic and mechanical movements, this is just a really awesome entry point for a lot of people that wouldn't be possible if they hadn't gone for the quartz option.
What would you sort of consider comps to this watch? Or other things, if someone's interested in this, what you might want to consider?
Other brands out there, I mean, there are tons. You've got a ton of options from Citizen, ton of options from Bulova. Seiko obviously has their field line, which are fantastic and automatic, and all of the specs there. Really, I mean, figure out what you want in your field watch, what you want in your everyday grab and go, and aim for it. But I'd argue that eventually you're probably going to come back to Hamilton in one way, shape, or another, because they just offer simple, refined pieces that can actually call back to real, legitimate historical storytelling.
If you're just getting into the hobby, this could be a good sort of first step. You're getting a heritage brand, you're getting a really cool design. Watch nerds are going to look at it and be like, oh, that's cool, it's a Hamilton. But you're not going to have to worry about servicing a mechanical watch.
Yeah, and it's not super flashy either. It's a bead blasted case, it's got some facets, but it's not overly complicated. It is really just the perfect amalgamation of a watch, a solid watch, and a cool piece at that too. You can be confident in wearing it. You can beat it up. You can slam it around out in the field, and you don't have to worry about it falling apart on you.
All right, cool. So softball question: if someone's interested in picking one of these up, where can they go?
Well, you can go a lot of different places, but you can go to the windupwatchshop.com, or you can come into our Brooklyn showroom and try them on for yourself. Stop in, come chat with us, come tell us why we're wrong about everything that we just said, and hang out with some watches and talk about watches.
Yeah, I mean, I think think that's a wrap on this conversation. I think we covered a lot. I think we kind of gave folks a good sense of the watches. Feel free to jump in the comments. Let us know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.